Am I the a-hole for telling my wife I want a divorce after she gave me a concussion? After work I was playing with my son and went to the kitchen to throw out a diaper. When I walked into the room my wife started shouting at me, claiming I hadn't been doing anything since I got home. Mind you, I had just spent 2 hours cleaning the kitchen, washing dishes, picking up the living room and putting my daughter to bed before going to the living room to play with my son while I continued to pick up. I was frustrated by her comment and asked her what she meant and outlined everything I had been doing. I left the room and started to walk up the stairs to my living room. I was struck in the side of head with a sealed cardboard box weighing about 2 pounds. This was from about 15 feet away and thrown at full force, so I was dazed for a moment. After confronting her about why she did this, she continued to yell at me and didn't show any concern. Upset and in quite a bit of pain, I went to sit with my son and process what had just happened. After about 45 minutes I was experiencing a growing headache, and having some problems with the muscles in the right side of my face and jaw. I gave her my son and told her I had to go to the ER because something wasn't right. I ended up spending the night in a hotel, and the next day began contacting resources and scheduling follow medical and mental health appointments. The headache lasted 8 days and I experienced a wide range of symptoms related to head injury. I missed over a full week of work, and it has been a pretty difficult experience navigating all my emotions while recovering, and experiencing some bizarre cognitive issues. Needless to say, I've been keeping my distance from my wife while I've been recovering. Over the last few years I've also been dealing with regular emotional abuse in the form of insults, constant belittling, and threats of divorce. This is probably the 6th incident of violent behavior from her in the last 7 years, and the only time she had used an object, and I have serious concern that she could have just as easily thrown something that could have broken my skull. I'm now seriously concerned about what will happen next time, and I'm not willing to wait and find out only to realize I should have left long ago. She has no diagnosed mental health disorders, but how out of control she is when she is angry is now very alarming, and it seems to be escalating. Additionally, she refuses to apologize for any of her words or actions since I met her, even after a diagnosed concussion. All she will say regarding this event are things like, "You know I didn't mean it, I can't aim that well." Over the last week I was essentially living in a blacked-out bedroom and listening to audiobooks between my frequent naps. Up to yesterday I have avoided engaging her in conversation, or anything that seems like I'm being baited into an argument. I don't have the mental or emotional capacity to handle an emotionally charged conversation, and wanted to focus on my recovery. Last night I told her I've been walking on eggshells around her for the last year. I'm not comfortable being around her, and don't see there being any way to mend the relationship after this. I just don't see myself being able to emotionally open up to someone who has injured me, ever. Her response has been to schedule marriage counseling, and she keeps making strange comments about how I have to be willing to make it work for counseling to be effective. She don't seem to have the ability to understand that this won't ever be water under the bridge, and that she's destroyed what was left of our relationship, which isn't much as there has been no physical intimacy in 2 years due to some medical complications from the pregnancy and birth of our son. She refuses any physical contact, and lately I have been struggling with the idea of continuing to live this strange celibate lifestyle for the sake of maintaining a stable home for my children. I've been open about this with my close friends and mentors, and know I need to leave because domestic violence rarely stops, and I want better for myself and my children. I decided to pursue divorcing her, and I think a large part of telling so many people is to force my own hand due to the embarrassment and shame that staying with her would cause. I told the therapist this and that I want his help navigating towards this goal, but I'm having a very hard time. I'm struggling with the idea of tearing my family apart, and the effect it will have on my 4-year-old daughter. Today she was being unusually sweet and wanted to sit with me. When I refused, she made me out to be the asshole, and accused me of not wanting to try. I feel like I'm being heavily manipulated and my desire to be the peacemaker and nurturer is being twisted against me. When I mentioned this, she got highly offended and accused me of wanting to destroy our family. This has been a wild experience and has been difficult to process. I have no experience with emotional or physical abuse in a relationship prior to this. Am I being the asshole for refusing to entertain opening up to her or participate in couples therapy due to fear of being manipulated? Should I stick to what I know to do intellectually, and totally ignore my emotions and stick to my initial instinct to leave her? Follow-up: I can't believe the level of support I've gotten since posting this. Most of you shared the same message, and I really appreciate that. There was quite a bit of very thoughtful advice and many points I hadn't considered. I've made up my mind to stick to my intuition and move on from this relationship. My biggest concern is now for my children, and I hadn't really considered what would happen to them if she didn't have me as an outlet for her anger. This afternoon I spoke to a highly recommended attorney, and she agreed to represent me and is helping to file a protection order. I really appreciate the effort that everyone put into helping me get my head straight, and intend to follow up with several of you directly. Love stories like this? Then make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe so you never miss what's coming next.